Once again, good morning. Did you know that these mornings have been dawning every day since Napoleon was born? And since the Romans invaded Britain, and Dirk Hartog, I think was Dutch, sighted the west coast of Australia, or William Dampier or someone. When Sir Christ was supposed to have lived, there were the same mornings every morning. You know, it rose there and it set over there. Does it suggest something to you? Does it suggest to you that nothing changes, only we think it does? That the same thing happens all the time. And in between we weep, we mourn, we worry, we tear our hair out, we get excited and celebrate. And the sun still rises and sets. And all the froth and foment settles down again because we all die and it didn't add up to anything. Of course it adds up to something. In only one place does it add up to something. Here it adds up to nothing. It's like a continuous play. But the value of it is in here. In there. The value of the life. Now if you go out there and ask the people and say to the people out there, what is the value of your life? They probably wouldn't know what you were talking about. It's difficult enough for us, isn't it? What is the value of my life? Well, value can't be measured like scientists and our minds try to measure it. Value is something integral, something so profound that it's beyond any mind to think of. That's what value is. It's called integrity, profundity. And it's our intermediate reality. So the value of my life, and when I use the word my, I mean of that body listening to these words as well as this one. The value of my life is what I have contributed to the human psyche, to humanity. Now I know we all like to serve the sick, feed the starving and all that stuff. I know that's all got its value, but that's not the value of the life. Because we can't all go and serve the sick. We can't all give our life to this and to that, to saving the whales or stopping the French from testing something down in the South Pacific. We just can't all do that. So we have to have a value, everyone, a universal value. Remember, this is a universal truth that I have written about. Universal truth means something that's real all the time, forever, and for everybody. Not like anger, which is not real for everybody all the time, every moment. Not like resentment, jealousy, none of that stuff. That's not universal, that's purely selfish. Universal is shared by us all every moment. And the value of your life is the ability to face life, all the circumstances of your life, as best you can, without, for instance, blaming others for your unhappy circumstances or your broken heart. It is, for instance, finding out, why is my heart broken when hearts have been broken for 20,000 years or 6,000 years of recorded history? Hearts have been broken. Cleopatra and Antony, if we can believe the story, it was a story of heartbreak. All our stories are of heartbreak, or then of victory over heartbreak. That's all our entertainment is. Romeo and Juliet, tragedy. It is our ability to face tragedy, and not just the extremes like tragedy, but the everyday life, the ability to be able to face the everyday life as the best I can, doing my best, not blaming others, not complaining any more than I really have to. Being open as much as I can when my whole being says, no, I don't want to do this. No, I feel I want to just be alone. I just want to I feel miserable today and I don't feel like saying anything to anyone. That's not the value of the life. That destroys the value of the life, because there's no value in that. There's no spirit in it. There's no overcoming in it. There's no being in it. And that, as you know, is the spiritual life, and what you've been doing since the great change happened in you those years ago, or whenever it was, that you started to need to find the truth and to be with someone who can reflect to you the truth and help you to find the value of your life. Now, this value of the life, every time that you are valorous or valiant, every time that you are courageous, every time that you deny yourself the right to blame another or to complain, every time you do that, there is behind the scenes a little spark, a little vital spark. Behind the scenes in the vital world, inside yourself, there's a vital spark happens. And that goes towards the point of enlightenment, which is in every one of you and me. Each of us has inside of us, each of us is a cell in the body of mankind. Are you listening to me? Because this is terribly important. This is not separate from UFOs. It's not separate from love, the love you have for your partner or your children. It's not separate from the truth of God. It's not separate from the truth of death. What I'm talking about is a whole life that is my life and your life, where everything comes together in one mighty whole. Not some narrow little complaining, blaming, narrow little dwarf-like life. We've got to get out of that, and that's our right to be that, to be intelligence. So each of us is a cell. You are not a person, you only think you're a person. Your personality is rubbish. Your personality is bullshit. What you think is not even worth listening to. What you feel is even worse than what you think. It's all person. Now, there's no person. What we want, what we have here is spirit. The spirit of man and woman. That's what we're talking about. And the spirit of man and woman is the point of enlightenment that's inside of us. Now, each of us is a cell in the body of mankind or humanity. So there's only one vast body, and that's a thing, incomprehensible thing called humanity. Now, if you want to give it a shape, the best shape is the one that the cosmic shape that we have is the shape of the earth, a spheroid. That is the consciousness of the earth. That is the body of mankind. For we are the conscious, self-conscious, physical representations on the face of the earth, on the face of that globe, that spheroid. We all connect. We connect up down into this great, great body of humanity in which there are no persons. It's just one massive psychic mass of never-ending movement and psychic presence in which there are billions and billions of cells, just like you in your physical body have billions and billions of cells, all of which have no personality, all of which serve the whole. Imagine if the cells in this part of the body took a position and became person and said, I want to do it my way. What would happen to this body? Well, fortunately, all that stuff is our personal rubbish, and it makes no difference whatever to the reality. You have no person, you are no person, you are simply being like I am. And it is sufficient for me to be a cell in something greater and beyond any imagination. It is good enough for me to be what I am. Not to try to be something else, but to be what I am, a cell in a body helping to nourish it, helping to get it to be more healthy, helping to bring it to a greater consciousness by my consciousness. Are you getting the message? That's what you are. I will never speak to you like ordinary human beings. I will never let you rest in your narrow life. No matter how much you want to and how much I upset you with talk of UFOs, of love and all the things I'm talking about now, I will never let you rest, because you must enter into the great life in which you are so important to it. Every moment of you is so important to the greater body, which you can call God in the first instance as far as we are concerned. I am serving God, and that is the great body of humanity or mankind. And I am a cell, and now I'm going to describe a cell to you. A cell always consists of a surround like a circle. This is its resistance. This is its substance, this circle. It's its resistance. It's its substance. And at the center of the cell is always the vital life point. There is no life in this. This is as heavy, as turgid, as sticky, and as recalcitrant, unyielding, stubborn as this floor. That's what it is around the cell. And the point of enlightenment is continually emanating like a lighthouse, trying to inform this dreadful, turgid muck, to make it a little more intelligent, to make it see the light that I am at the point of enlightenment, my enlightenment in there. Now that enlightenment point varies in every single person. Nobody is the same. They can be approximately the same light, but everybody's in a different place. The light has got a different power to it, a different intensity. But it's still doing the same thing. It's got to inform this outer resistance. Now, let me demonstrate that in your experience. Are you all with me? For this, since I've been saying it these last 12 months, is the first time on earth this has ever been described. Like most of the things I say, this is the first time on earth it's ever been described comprehensively. So please stay with me, for that is my mission, my being here is for this. I want you to know the greater life of what is happening behind your narrow little mind and emotions. I want you to grow to be worthy of the God that you are. Now, to demonstrate the point of enlightenment and the resistance of the cell. Your body there now is a cell. And this is how it works, just like I'm telling you. Inside your body, you have a knowledge of love. You have a knowledge of rightness. You have a knowledge of how you want to give, want to love, want to serve. You have a lightness in there. When you contact it, you say it is beautiful. Oh, this is what I really love and this is what I am. And then, when that enlightenment point you try to express that through your body, what's it like? Huh? This old resistant body, which is filled with a past of 20,000 years or 2 billion years since life began on earth, is incorporated in this body. Oh my God, what a resistance it is. When I can feel such a light inside of me so often. Well, that's right. And that's what it's about. To allow the point of enlightenment as much as possible to get through this turgid past that this is made of. Not just this poor little body out here that you can see. Inside it, though, is this very, very thick stuff called the subconscious, which is all my pain and emotions and hurts and stupid notions about love, truth, death and God and life. All the things I believe in are very turgid. All the information, for instance, that I get from the media, all that substantive blockage that I absorb. The point of enlightenment tries to get through that all the time. The light is shining, trying to get through it. But this is such a know-all. This is such a certainty, this stuff called a person It gets its own person, you know. It tries to get a will of its own when the only will is my point of enlightenment, which does nothing except radiate that which is right and good and true inside, which I can always connect with. It doesn't do anything. This is the stuff that says, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it my way, and I'm a big noise and I know what I'm doing, and I can run this and I can insult you and get away with it and all the rest of it. It's a real willfulness, not will, sheer willfulness. And the point of enlightenment is silently shining, saying like me inside there, for the point of enlightenment is me inside there, saying nothing but emanating, be still. Give up, stop resisting, stop it, be still and know that I am here. But this thing says, God, well, you know it. And then you try to express your love through this resistance, and out it comes the wrong way, or the wrong word comes and somebody else gets hurt, some other hurt cell that you really love and endeavouring to express love to hears the words wrongly in their resistance and hurt, and they get hurt. And you say, what did I say? Oh, it doesn't matter, you wouldn't understand. And we're off we go again, two cells, not communicating through their enlightenment, but through their willfulness and their heaviness and their stubbornness, their position, in other words. Now, do you recognize your life? Do you recognize it? I'm not talking about some Jesus up in the sky. Do you recognize what I'm saying? Do you recognize the resistance that we have around us, inside us here? Of course you do. And do you recognize the love point, the enlightenment point that knows, I'm so close to it, I know. I'm so close to it. Well, that's the truth. Now, every time that you are able to withstand the circumstances of your life, to rise above the difficulties that we all are laden with, to rise above it, to be courageous within, to be valiant, to be valorous. Every time I do that, a little bit of this heavy, substantive resistance gives up and is then converted. The value of that is converted, goes into the point of enlightenment, and I become that just a little bit more enlightened. Just a little bit more. But over a lifetime, it's extraordinary. That's why as we go on, we start to feel, as we get older, and if we have lived the life I'm describing, the divine life, and as best we can, we start to say, well, it's better. It's better. And of course, that's everyone, not even the people who live the spiritual life as I'm talking about it, just ordinary people, because this happens to all ordinary people. They're all enlightened more or less. Everyone's got more or less enlightenment because we're all cells. And if they are real, as they approach middle age and beyond that, they start to say, well, it's better. It's good. You know, some of the stubbornness has gone out and they've converted it into more enlightened, and so your mum and dad should be much more enlightened than they were once, and should be able to confer to you about the truth, and talk to you about God and life and truth, and not get emotional about it, you see. But that's very difficult out there, because it's not that the people are not just as enlightened, it's just that the ignorance is much greater in the perimeter of the shell, this cell out there. Because you've got to have the enlightenment point in you, has to be spoken to by an enlightenment point outside of you. That is the value of the spiritual master. For you need extra power, because the world, this substantive resistance that's around us, as our bodies in the first instance and as the world in the second instance, is so drenching, so suffocating, so always utterly like the waves of the sea the waves of ignorance come towards us every day and every moment where we meet people. The waves of the past, the useless conversations, the no value in the life, the no knowledge of what life's about, is ignorance that comes towards us. And of course, we start to get identified with that. And we start to get suffocated. And our little light seems not to shine so much. And that's why you come to be with me. For I lighten your light. I give it a new energy, because not that I give it to you, but I reflect. I talk seriously to you. I talk to you as adults, as real people. I don't talk to you like they talk out there. I talk to you as real people. You know, we were doing a video in Australia the other day, a shoot. And the producer took me to a high school, which had been arranged for teenagers in high school, 16, 17. And they'd never met anyone like me, you know, that speaks. Like, they knew that I spoke of love and truth. And they'd never met anyone like that, of course. And they were 16 and 17, and there were, I think, 5 girls, I think, and one boy. A couple of the other boys dropped out. Fear of their peers, you know, or what they'd say or something. Or their parents said, oh, no, what's going on here? Anyway, we got all the permission. The producer got all the permission. And they sat down there, these kids, 16 and 17. And I started to talk to them. And how do you think I talked to them? Precisely as I'm talking to you now. And they loved it. And they said, why can't we talk to our parents like this? And I said, well, why can't you? Yeah, it's a good question. It's because I treat you as man and woman. I don't try and bullshit to you. I speak to you just as it is, and I say, is that right? Is that true? And you say, yes. Because you are man and woman. You are as intelligent as your mother and your father. You're as intelligent as I am. The only thing is that you lack experience. That's all. But you're just as intelligent. And we treat you as though you're not intelligent. And that's what happens. And that's what happens between mother and child, father and child. Start to not talk about what's important. So we lose communication. See, no child of mine would ever be out of communication with me. No child of mine would write to me. A lady wrote to me the other day in Australia, just before I left. Dear Barry Long, or dear Mr. Long, they're very nice. I read your advertisement in the paper. I've never written to anyone like this before. I'm just desperate, and I thought perhaps you could help me, but I understand if you can't. But I've never written to anyone like this before, and I don't know why I'm writing to you. But my son is age 25, and he's living in a certain part of Australia, away from them. And he's been there for 5 years, and he doesn't work, and he lives in a share house. And my husband and I have tried to communicate and to get him to communicate with us, and he won't. And I'm desperately worried for him, and I love him. And I don't know what I can do. Well, you hear the pathos in that letter and the true love of a mother for a son. But the problem is, how can they expect to communicate with their son if they didn't communicate when he was young? If they didn't talk about love and God and life and truth and death, if they only talked about money or grandma or grandpa or something else, or what they think about who's going to win the election. That's the tragedy. That's the tragedy of this terribly ignorant planet as it is represented by the body of mankind. We are so unevolved in the cosmic scale that I say we are about 0.05% evolved. Well, let's say, just to make it simple for everybody, let's say we're less than 1% evolved in the cosmic scale. We are so rottenly selfish, it's incredible. And of course that's what evolution is about, to get rid of the selfishness of this thing around us, which is our own thought process, our own hurts and pains, our own living for my feelings. Oh, don't feel that was right what she said. A stinking little feeling, I don't feel it was right what he said or she said. Or, who am I going to blame? I'm going to blame you because I thought you loved me and you went and loved another woman. I hate her. No, I don't hate her. I hate you. But I don't hate you really. I hate her. That's the ambivalence of our emotion, our stinking selfish self, in a cocoon that lives nowhere but it's in its own self, so therefore is incestuous and lives off itself. And so, as its name is pain, it lives off itself and makes more pain and more pain and more pain until I fester inside and I cannot communicate, because pain can never communicate anything but pain. And so one part of the little one cell in the body of mankind is not functioning. And so the enlightenment of mankind is denied because I just can't rise above my own ignorance. So are you willing to take the place that has no personal place in it, no personal position? Are you willing to just be a cell in the body of God? Are you? Really? Well, I am. I want nothing more than to serve that. And in serving that and being that, I can become more and more the enlightenment point, not the resistance around it. I become more and more my enlightenment point. So I'm not trying to say there's something out here that's not there. It's there all right, and you know it's there. But which do you serve? Do you serve the resistance more than you serve your own enlightenment? Well, fortunately, you serve your enlightenment more, because that's why you're here. Now, I use these models to demonstrate in a practical, down-to-earth way what the spiritual life is. And you are absolutely essential to it, to this progress or to this evolution. Be vertical. Stand vertical. Be vertical. Don't put the cross of suffering on the vertical body. This is man-made, and you will always suffer when you put the cross on the vertical. This, remember, is the human mind and emotions. This is the past, that's the future. The present is in between. You cannot, it is absolutely impossible to think about the present. You cannot think about the present. You can think in the present, but then the present disappears and you're thinking about the past. But you cannot think about the present. You can only be present. And that means no thought. That means vertical. As soon as you think one single thought, even if it was about your home, bang, you're going to suffer. Because you're thinking about the past, because the home is in the past. Because you can't show me your home now. You can't show me your children now unless you were to look to the side, and there they were. But if you didn't look to the side, you cannot show me your children. You have to be vertical. While you give into this demon thinking, you will always suffer, because all thought leads to thoughts about my problems and my unhappiness and my guilt and resentment. So you have to be strong enough or innocent enough to drop the Christian cross of suffering, boom, and stand holy. Well, that's not difficult. You're standing vertical now. It's not difficult. I want to demonstrate it in your experience. You're not falling off the chair. You're not going mad. You're utterly there without one thought necessary. travelling up out of the depths of the impersonal subconscious at a velocity greater than the speed of light, the energy of the spaceships and their crews enters the much slower time of the personal subconscious of the people about to see the spacecraft. Here in the personal subconscious, beneath our surface minds and memory, the pure energy of the space visitors, pure energy, not forms, is converted by the brain into recognizable sensory forms stored from past experience. So you see, this is that intermediate world. Now, the intermediate world, which is equivalent with death, is a faster speed of intelligence. When you die, when your body dies, your intelligence is going to be much swifter. And because you are burdened, we are all burdened by a projection. A tremendous energy is being used here to maintain this sensory body, which is so cumbersome, so slow, so mechanical, so robotic. And it takes enormous energy for the resources in any body to sustain this body. And as soon as it is removed from the intelligence is immediately, by the way of things, speeded up. And I then, because of that speed, not because of dying, but because of the speed of the intelligence, reveals a totally new state of consciousness. Only because of the speed of the intelligence. Now, it is possible to go beyond death in the speed of intelligence. So we're going down the vertical, right? So you die there, and you get rid of the body, the physical burden, and the speed of intelligence is such that you are then entered a new state of perception, which I'm not going to describe. It is possible to go beyond that and get faster and faster, because these states of after death is still within the speed of light. The immediate after death survival that you hear about from people is still within the speed of light. As you go deeper and deeper, this is all measured by the speed of light. All the intermediate worlds immediately there, where you hear someone has seen Jesus, or someone has come back from death and seen the devil, or somebody has met their mother and their father. That is all in an intelligence, a realm of intelligence that is still not faster than the speed of light. So therefore it is limited by certain past. So if you see your mother and your father, when you're dead, there's no doubt about it, they'll be in the past, because your mother and father are always in the past, aren't they? Except when they're in front of you, then they're in the present. But if you are dead and you see your mother and father who were on earth, they're obviously in the past. So your intelligence is still not beyond the speed of light. Now, when you put something beyond the speed of light, right? If I go faster than the speed of light, if I wanted to send a message to the nearest star, which is 4.5 light years away, travelling at what we call the speed of light, it would still take 4.5 years, because what science thinks is the speed of light is not the speed of light at all. It's still too slow. If it were travelling, a message, if I was going to ask a question in a message to the furthest star, before I asked the question, I'd have the answer. That's the speed of light. Beyond the speed of light, there's no question, because before you can mouth the question, you've got the answer. That's what happens in me. Didn't I tell you I have no questions about love, life, truth, death, and God? And the whole human race is always asking questions about those. But I have no questions about those, because my consciousness moves faster than the speed of light. And when you move faster than the speed of light, you have no questions about those matters. Are you getting me? Now that's down here. These visitors from these other places have to come at enormous speed, which is beyond the speed of light, And this impulse in your psyche, we're not talking about some other psyche, we're talking about the human psyche of which you are a hair. The human psyche is like that, and you're a hair standing up on it like I am. That's all. And you are connected to the entire whole. So these visitors, by an energetic, the same as you get a good idea, don't you? You can wake up in the night and say, got it, I got a great idea, and then you go and right, and bring it into existence and all the rest of it. Well, where's that come from? Where does your sudden idea come from? It comes from the subconscious and the unconscious. So I'm talking about something now that comes from the subconscious and unconscious, right? That is very, very intelligent, that travels at enormous speed, which is beyond the speed of light, and it travels in up through the subconscious where we're so dense as it comes into the subconscious that it keeps breaking its speed down. Boom, 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 boom. And despite its enormous speed, it comes into existence through our brains, and there you see the apparition, the appearance of this extraordinary energy. Only now it can't travel at the speed of light because it has entered less than the speed of light where we live. We live in the past here. Everything here takes time to ask a question to get the answer. Takes time for the light to come from there to here. Everything we live in the past. So when these visitors manifest sensorially in this existence, they cannot maintain a presence here for long. Because it's too alien, there's too much past here. Nothing that is present can maintain itself here for long. It has to devour the past. See, the present devours the past. So any of these people who have seen a UFO, have truly seen one, and been amazed at what they've seen, and truly used the moment to go within and see, my God, this is incredible. What I am seeing is beyond all reference, all human reference that we have heard. God Almighty, this is incredible. And if we were still enough to just do that and be absolutely amazed at what I am seeing, that devours some past in me, emotion, some distortion of love in me, some absence of presence, makes me more present. It should make me, it should clear me out, because that's an extraordinary experience which very few people are able to have. But what happens? The people then start to talk about it with their minds. They haven't been informed by science or anyone about the great grace of being able to see one of these things, or to use it like you use making love, to use it utterly and completely, sensationally, to purify your own sluggish, turgid, terrible emotions and self, to use it rightly. Who's telling the people how to use it rightly? You can read all the books on UFOs and all the UFOologists and that, and they don't know a thing about it. For I am ETI. I am that. I know all about extraterrestrial intelligence. I know all about UFOs, but I can only reveal what I can reveal. And by God, I've endeavored to do my best. As one guy wrote to me, and he said, "You've certainly tacked your colours to the masthead." Well, sure I have. I'm a spiritual teacher, right? I have a great following of people who see the truth that I speak, and here I am suddenly trotting out UFOs. You know, I must be demented. I must be stupid. But then you all know I'm not stupid. I'm a very, very practical man, down to earth. So how can I be talking about these things? Because I am it. I am it. Just like you are it. Except that You have not yet realized that you are it, intelligence without a form. That's what you are here for, but you are realizing it more and more, yes.